Right. Can you see me?
Yes, Sadhyan. So nice to see you after so long.
You too, ma'am.
First thing, Adyan, many congratulations for your CBSE score. It's an amazing score. You have scored 92 aggregate. Uh, I have lots and lots of questions to you. First question, did you expect this thing or more or less? What was your expectation like?
I kind of expected around like what I got. I was kind of expecting in the range of like 92 to 95. And yes, I
Mm-hmm.
got 94, so
Okay, great. You have already put your form for evaluation because, like me, I know you also. There are 2-3 marks which we need more, which we are expecting more. So let's hope for the best there as well. All right, Adyant, coming to your preparation, how many months before the exam you thought you were sufficiently prepared? Now I can write the exam anytime. You ask me and I can perform.
I don't think I ever felt that until like one day before the exam. But um I like finished the like portions of 10th grade like a few months, like 3 months before, right? We finished.
All right.
Then
And
after
how
that,
many
we were just
how
doing.
many tests have you on an average appeared for every subject to make sure that you are well versed with the subject?
How many tests? Like
How many
practice
tests?
tests?
Practice tests.
Oh, right. Yeah. So like for the board exam, I did at least like 20 or 25 for like science and math. But for stuff like English, I only did like 6 or 7.
And what about your language subject, the other one?
My other one was Sanskrit, and also for Sanskrit, I did a lot,
Okay.
like more than 15.
And then how much importance will you give to the school attendance and also to the tuitions? Are they really important or they are just acting as a helper's hand to just boost your classes and only school can help you perform in the same manner the way you have?
I think attending school is like really important, but like also like for example, if I hadn't attended your class and some other classes that I've also taken, I would not understand a thing that was taught in my school. So obviously both are important, but attendance wise school is really important because that's like all official and stuff, right?
All right. Adyant, one thing that is particularly to you that I'm asking, because you have studied in a separate, different country as well, and then you have moved back to India, was the accent a problem to you for the school or tuition teachers?
Um, for learning, no.
All right.
I
Okay.
mean, for learning, no, but for other things, it was kind of weird.
Okay. How were you beating your stress during your preparation for class 10 boards?
Uh, I tried not to think about like I tried not to think stuff like this is like the most important exam of my life or anything like that. I just took it one subject at a time, and
Mhm.
then it that kind of helped me like manage the stress a lot easier.
Have you taken any special strategy for class 10th or you have been following your study routine that you have been following for so many years?
No, nothing special that I tried other than like all the practice tests.
All right. Um, how much importance you would stress on answer writing skills for your board exams or just mugging up and then final day putting it on paper is sufficient?
Obviously, answer writing skills are really important. Like for example, when I was in lower classes, I would just mug everything up, and it was easier to mug everything up and just write it down on the paper, right? But now I think it's very important to like be able to express your thought process on the question paper,
Mhm.
so that the person correcting it understands exactly what you thought while writing that question. I have a little more work to do in that area, but I think that's more important now than how important it was a few years ago.
Because I've seen the way you write it to the point. You make sure, no beating around the bush happens in your answers. That's what I have seen in your answers, and it's a really great, experience to check your answers rather. Uh, do you think that highlighting the important points gave you some extra marks, or that didn't held any importance in the answer writing?
Yes, highlighting important. I mean, I don't know if it gave me extra marks, but as I was saying, it's very important to express what like what you think on
Mm-hmm.
the answer sheet, right? And highlighting important points obviously does that, right? For example, if everything's like monotone, same, and there's no difference between how you express the answer and the steps,
Mm-hmm.
then that would be kind of weird, right?
All right. So, Adyan, which subject was a troublemaker for you
In 10th, it
in
was
10th?
chemistry. In 10th, it was
Chemistry.
chemistry. But
Okay.
fortunately, I had this really good teacher in school, and also your practice tests also really helped.
Yeah. So, what would you give as an advice to your juniors how to master chemistry if it's creating trouble?
Oh, chemistry. Basically, it's like you need to know exactly what's going on, and there should be no doubt about it from the get-go. If there are doubts about something, then you should immediately clarify that with the teacher. Otherwise, they're just gonna pile up, and at the end, you won't have an idea as to whether like if these two compounds I mean, your intuition would say it reacts this way,
But
and it might actually react some other way, right? So from the start, there needs to be like zero doubt about that.
all right, which subject was a cakewalk for you?
In 10th grade, well, I
Yes.
want to say English, but I'm gonna say math. I'm gonna say math. I did not have a lot of trouble with math in 10th grade.
All right. And how did you manage your time between the school and tuitions and your self study?
Like throughout the year, my schedule was a little bit packed. But the thing that helped was I could do my school and my schoolwork on the weekdays, and the weekend was when all those classes really started coming in. So in the weekend, I would completely like focus on all my other classes, and in the weekdays, I had enough time to do my schoolwork.
Did you regularly follow any physical activity to keep yourself, stress free, or you were always, you know, with your books held tightly?
No, no, no. I mean, of course, COVID started, and then we couldn't like play any sports for a while, right?
Mhm.
So because of that, I just started working out by myself, and it actually is relaxing. I It actually is relaxing when you get up in the morning and then you feel all relaxed after you're done with your workout. So yeah, I did get some physical activity.
Okay. Now, for busting your stress, what do you really look out to whenever you are stressed, if at all you were throughout the year? Because I never found you, but there is some residual stress which really builds up during the exam time. So, how are you coping up with that?
I think the best way to cope up with stress is like to talk it out with your friends. So like you'll be talking about what you're experiencing, and then they'll also be telling you like what they're feeling about the exams, and it's like, oh my god, dude, I'm gonna fail. And then they're also like, dude, it's so hard, everything's so hard, and then somehow all that stress dissipates away.
Okay. Are you the one who is revising till the very last moment of the exam before you just enter the exam hall? Or you are the one, just let it be, I'm done one day before the exam, I won't even touch my books?
I used to be that person. I
The
used to be
first one
that person who would
or the
have his
second one?
yeah. I used to be the person who would have his book open until like 1 second before the exam. But now I've like, there's no more studying to actually be done that wouldn't confuse me last moment, right? So I've stopped doing that last second study.
Okay. In terms of books, the study material, what would you suggest to your juniors that you have to have to do this and then you are done with the preparation?
In terms of books,
Yes.
um, I didn't actually get like separate practice books or anything, except that website, right? The CBSE something dot
Learn
in. But
CPSC.
yeah,
Yeah,
that.
I told you
But
about
for
that.
math, there's this book called the NCERT Exemplar, right? That
Exemplar,
like
yes.
yes, that has some really good questions that you can use to practice, and that's what I use for my 10th grade.
Okay. So this is apart from the NCRT, right?
Yeah. Wait,
NCRT
no,
was
the
thoroughly done,
NC
or did you even not finish the NCRT?
no, I finished the Exemplar, but the book is also like only NCERT, right?
Yeah. Okay. Um, Now, I need to talk to you about social science. It's vast, it's huge, humongous syllabus. How do you manage that? What would you tell your juniors that because in the new batch that I have now, all of them are going, panicky about how are we going to do this? History is too big, 26 pages in one chapter. They are all in most anxious state that I could have seen any child in. And I'm having a tough time controlling them, although they are a little bit tame now. But how could you advise them to have a control on the syllabus?
Well, yeah, I will. I mean, I was freaked out too right before starting your classes, but social studies and especially history, right? It has this flow to these chapters. They have like
Right.
first this happened and then this happened, and because of that, this happened. And all you need to really know is what events happened and why they happened, and you could like lead yourself through the chapter
Mm.
uh, by yourself because now you know exactly what happened, right? So even though it's vast, there's like many connections that you can like memorize or just remember naturally to help you remember like history and stuff.
Okay. Were you using any techniques to memorize the facts or the information that is there, like any mnemonics, acronyms, flowcharts, or it was, just practicing and it's done?
No mnemonics, no acronyms because I am really not that creative, but flowcharts were amazing. Flowcharts were like the best thing I ever tried to do in science while I was trying to learn like electricity and stuff. Like right before the exam to like summarize all my knowledge about the chapter, I would make this like little cheat sheets. In one page, I
Okay.
would try to summarize everything in like the most detailed way possible, and that was the one that helped the most.
Okay. During the exam, if you encountered any question which was like a bouncer to you, you had no clue, if at all there was one. How would you attempt, or what would have been your approach to that question? Would you have just left it, or you
Um,
still tried attempting it, or doing something about it?
if it's like a theory-based question and you don't know what it is, I don't know what you can really do about that. But if it's if it's a numerical, then you can try to think of it as logically as possible, right? Like, what do I already know, and what part of this question is confusing me, right? So, I mean, there actually was like a question like that, I think, where I didn't actually like know the answer right away, but I tried to like deduce the answer through like logic and thinking very carefully, logically in steps could lead to you finding the answer.
Okay. Now, yours was a special batch because I think you have had both of the worlds of objective answer writing in the first term and subjective. How was this transition like? And because I believe you guys must have forgotten how to write subjective answers because of the COVID thing. How did you how did this challenge of starting the answer writing and acing it? How did you master it?
Well, right. In the first term, we only had like these multiple choice questions, and all of us just forgot how to write answers. But then again, when we started writing subjective, at first I was like, what was I doing when we were still writing objective, right? Meanwhile, I mean, I'm talking about back in like sixth, seventh standard when I was just mugging everything up and writing all the steps. Um, but then 10th grade me found a way to like make it like simplify it and then like put it in a compact way, the numericals especially, and write answers and like underline all the points and stuff. And I said before in that question, right? You need to show the correct. I mean, you need to show the person who's doing the correction exactly what you're thinking. And I try to do that as much as possible instead of elaborating on everything.
Great. During this time of your preparation, were you anytime feeling intimidated by the people around you who were scoring more than you? Like anything negative that was attracting you, demotivating you in any format?
Um, I wouldn't say I was intimidated by the people who were scoring more than me, because the people who were scoring more than me clearly were a lot smarter and put in a lot more effort because they deserved it, right? But I was like, man, I'm doing all this hard work, and I still might like lose like a mark on some like factual inaccuracy that I just overlooked, right? So it was like really the people weren't intimidating, but like the fact that something like this might happen was intimidating. And yeah.
All right. So, for the coming batch of 10th, what advice would you give regarding your schedule to study? How many hours must be put in, even by an average student, to get good marks in the score in the board exams?
How many hours? Well,
Uh,
obviously, I think you should have a like regular schedule where you study, but I think the amount of hours you can't like fix it for like generally all people, right? Like for
mhm,
example, if you have someone that doesn't learn like this much in like this much time, I don't think you can like fix this much time for them. Like
mhm,
there are people who learn slower than some other people, right? Even though they might be like really particular about like remembering and answer writing, they might actually still learn slower, right? So I think if somebody is studying a concept, they should study it until they are familiar with it and it's second nature to them, right? I think that's what everyone actually did in the board exam because we had so much time for revision, especially in the first term. Everyone just studied until they were like really familiar with it and they had no doubts about it.
okay. One strategy that worked for you and one strategy that you would advise to your juniors, don't try this. It's never going to work. It's just a myth.
uh, okay, let's see. The strategy that worked for me, making flowcharts, summarizing all of the points by yourself without looking. Um, strategy that didn't work for me, and I don't think this would like wouldn't work for like, anyone or something. It might still work for some people, but there's this thing called the Pomodoro method, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you study for 20 minutes and then you take a 5 minute break and then you study for another
Yes.
20 minutes. That has really never at all worked for me because 20 minutes is not enough to get in like into the zone
Skin
while
of the
studying,
topic
right?
only. Yeah.
Yes. So like if you're doing math, 20 minutes is barely enough to like if you're doing some like big chapter like
Quadratic or,
trigonometry like
yeah,
something like yes, trigonometry with like a lot of proofs and something like that. 20 minutes is barely enough to get through like 5 questions.
correct.
And the Pomodoro method just doesn't work for stuff like this. Other stuff it might work for like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the simpler concepts, but it's not for everyone.
All right. And thank you, Adyant, for all your time and many congratulations again for your marks. And just yesterday, you have got the first rank for your speed cube competition, the Rubik
Oh
cube.
yeah,
I was very happy to know that. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best for your all future endeavors.
thank you.
Thank you, Adyant.